I'm Claire from createdtheottaway. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin'Up here in the UK. Thank you for joining me today. I've got a very quick and easy make for you. Here it is here. Really simple, really easy. Something that I thought you would appreciate. The ingredients that you need are half a sheet of 12 by 12 designer series paper, some coordinating card for the inside and some white card, and then a stamp set that you love just to give a bit of detail on the inside, and a sentiment for the front. Okay. So the paper that I've chosen today is in the new mini catalogue, and it's the True Love Designer Series paper. You can see here there's lots of different sheets with big images and small images. I love that it's monochrome, black and white. I'll just show you that. But you could very easily colour it. So you could colour it with your blending pens or your Stampin' Right markers, or even the blending brushes. Lots and lots of different patterns, very florally. And then on the other side, if I just flip it over, you've got the contrast on the back, and you've got some nice different patterns there, some pinstripes, some geometric patterns, all sorts. So this is the sort of paper that I find it really hard to choose between which sides to use. Hence this card that uses both sides. So I've picked this sheet, really busy. What else can I say other than it's really busy? I could see it coloured in. You could be sitting for quite a while with all the little details. But I really like it black and white, and I like that side as well. So I'm going to show you how to take advantage of both sides of the designer series paper. So the first thing you need to do is take your 6 by 12 sheet of paper, and you just want to trim a little bit off the edge, off the long side, sorry, I should say, rather than the edge, because that makes you think it's the short side. So on the long side, you need to cut your paper at 5 3/4. So just make sure that you're using the cutter, and it's really tiny sliver, but this is so that it fits in your envelope. So you're just going to take that and discard that. Now you're going to think about doing the folds, so we need to do the score lines. So decide which side is your inside and which side is your outside. So I want this as my outside, so I'm making sure that that's face down, and this is going to be my inside. You're still going to see both pieces, but I just felt like if that was on the inside it was just too much. So this is my inside, and I'm going to score this at 2 inches. This is where you need to be careful and get rid of your cutting blade. I'm going to score it at 2, score it again at 4, score it again at 8. So I'm just going to pull the arm out on my trimmer. So you're scoring it again at 4, at 8. So you've got 2, 4, 8, and then the last one is 10. Okay. So while we're here and we've scored that, we're going to cut the inside pieces. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Now my coordinating card, I've chosen basic black just because it matches. And the size that I want for this is 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. So 3 7/8. And this will just line the inside and give a bit of strength to your designer series paper. So 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. That's about it there. Okay. And then I also need to cut my white piece, and then I can put my trimmer to one side for a moment. So my white that I'm going to do a bit of stamping on and for the inside of the card is 3 6/8 by 5 4/8. Now this is a scrap paper, so I'm just going to check. So 5 4/8. 5 4/8 by 3 6/8. So when I lay that on there, it just gives me 1/8 of an inch as a border. Okay, so that's my pieces done. So now if I come back to this designer series paper, I need to do an extra cut on both sides so that I can fold it. So what you need to do on the bottom of your paper, it's quite handy if you've used paper that's any way up, if that makes sense. It doesn't matter which way round you do it, it will always look okay. So on the bottom, you need to measure up 1.5 inches. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because it's on black card. So I am just going to do it with, I'm just going to use it here. I'm going to do it on that side because I want 1.5 from both sides. This sounds more complicated than it is. Let me shut that so you can see. So on the bottom, both sides, on this edge, the shorter edge on both sides, I've got a little line that's marked at 1.5 inches. Now what I need to do is cut from that point there to the score line there, which, I don't know, can you see it now? It goes across the first score line and hits the second. So I'm going to line it up here on my groove, on my trimmer, and then line it up there. So it's about there, and I'm going to cut that triangle off. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to do the same on this side, so I can see my little mark is there, and I'm going to do it to the second score line, and I'm going to cut that piece off there. Okay, so if I lay that down on my paper, you should be able to see. Let's move those out the way. So that's what I've done. I've cut the 2 corners off. So I measured up 1.5 inches from the bottom, and I cut to the second score line on both sides. Now I'm going to burnish both pieces. So I've left my bone folder in my craft room, so I'm just going to do it with my hands for now. Just push that over and that over so that you've got that action. Okay, now to make it even nicer on the front, you've already got a score line on here, so just fold that, and you want to make sure that this score line matches with the score line on your designer series paper you've already done, so that when you fold this you can see that. Okay, so that one will go that side, and then this one will go this side, like that. Okay, so when I close it, you'll be able to see a bit more of the pattern. So I'm just going to glue those on. This is where you realise you need some designer series paper that's any way up, because you're actually twisting the triangle round. So this one actually has come from there, and I've put it on this side. So if it was directional paper, it wouldn't look right. So I'm literally just matching this up and just making sure that it's on the fold, just to help that stick as well. Push that down, and that's that side. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with this side. Make sure I've got it the right way round. Put some Tombow glue on because it will give me a little bit of wiggle room. I'm just going to put that on there and match that up as well. Just make sure that it matches up on that crease, like that. So when they close, that's what they look like. And that's more or less the card done. We're just going to make it look pretty on the inside as well. It's important to always make the insides of your cards look as good as the outside. So the black, I'm literally just going to stick it. But before I do that, I want to do a little bit of stamping on the corner, because when I fold that, I'm going to see a big piece of white, and that doesn't look so great. So I'm going to stamp on here, and the stamp set that I'm using is from the same suite as the paper, so it's the Forever and Always set, and I'm going to use this little flower here because it features in this paper, so it will match without me having to think about it too much. Okay, so I am just going to use some Memento ink. I'm not going to be colouring the flowers in, but I quite like the Memento ink. So I'm actually stamping off the page. Can you see? I'm not going to go too mad. I don't want to overwhelm this piece of white card. So I'm just going to do 2 on there. And then in the opposite corner, although you won't see them, I'm going to do 2 down there as well. I'm just twisting the stamp ever so slightly. So you've just got that. Okay. Now you can put a sentiment in the middle as well. I like to leave lots of room for my message. So I'm going to leave it as that. I'm going to stick this white piece to the black and then stick it in there. So again, I'm going to use Tombow glue because of the wiggle. Straight on there. It's all ready to size, so I don't need to check. Okay, so that's on there. And then this piece will just sit inside the card, and this just gives a bit of strength to your card and just finishes it off nicely. Okay, so that's that. Can you see how that adds to it already? And the last bit is just for the front. I'm going to add a little sentiment. I'm going to use these 2 dies. I really like layering die shapes up together. I tend to use the Stitch So Sweetly bundle ever such a lot. Most of my cards have got these on them, but I was having a look for something different, and the tasteful labels, you can interlayer lots of those ones as well. So that's what I've done here. I've used that one there and the one next to it, and that actually layers up together really nice as well. So here they are die cut out. So that's this bigger one, the squarer one, and this is a really nice shape on the top. So I'm going to use a sentiment from Beautiful Friendship. Birthdays are the best days, because aren't they just? And I'm just going to stamp that straight onto there. Let me get my block again. And it's always good to have a block that is just the right size, because it stops you rocking and getting more ink everywhere. So I'm just going to load that onto there. And because it's a polymer stamp, I can see right through and hopefully get it straight and in place. There you go, just fits, which is what I like. Then that I am going to put on with some dimensionals, because I want that to stand out just a weeny bit on there. You could put a belly band around this card if you like. That would hold it together when it's closed. I'm just going to stick it on one side so that when it's open it's like that. And I'm not going to put dimensionals on this side, just some Tombow glue on half, because I don't want it to be too fat for posting. So that's going to go there, I think. Make sure it's centred. Oh, and there you go. There's our card. I hope you've enjoyed watching. You can shop with me online if you're here in the UK, and I look forward to hearing you. Thanks. Bye.